I'm the Christian physician, and welcome to this presentation on From Distraction to Stillness, Middle Schoolers and the Journey of Contemplative Prayer. This is a presentation that I gave for other teachers in the Archdiocese of Detroit on how to introduce prayer and understand contemplative prayer with middle schoolers. This presentation has 5 parts, and each will be its own recording. So the first set of few slides is setting the stage for deep learning. That's how I teach middle schoolers and what I expect them to know. The second part is about how the prayer project works. This is for students interested or teachers to know what's required. Part 3 is a crash course in contemplative prayer. This is the majority of the slides, and this can be seen by students as well as teachers. And finally, part 4 is hearing from the students. I find that this will help teachers seeing what an impact contemplative prayer has on students to implement it. But it's also very good for other students to hear like a 7th or 8th grader say something, and they might say, hey, you know what, I want to be like that. I want to pray like that. And finally, just at the end, there's a Q&A. People can email me questions, but it's just one slide. So we'll talk about the first 3 weeks of 6th grade and what I get the students working on and themes that I emphasize throughout middle school, all of which are deep. And then the idea of getting personal with prayer. So the first 3 weeks of 6th grade, we emphasize right away when studying religion that religion is different and religion is holy. So it's Moses and his sandals, and God says to Moses, I am who I am, and tells him to take his sandals off. The divinity of Christ. In Greek, when Jesus is walking on water, he does not say, do not fear, it is I. He says, do not fear, I am. So he's making a divine statement. So this links the divinity of Christ to the episode in the burning bush and stuff like that. We emphasize the power and greatness of creation out of nothing, that unlike mythological things you can think of what they look like, but they don't exist. With God, it's different. God is the only being in the universe whose essence is to exist. And that's even a misnomer. He's not even in the universe. He's beyond that. Moses in the burning bush, that God is immutable, and that within God, all his attributes are identical. He doesn't fight with himself. He's not stressed out. And in 6th grade, nobody fails. If somebody falls behind, we stop class during that first few months, and the students who are really doing well help out the other students, and it's usually nobody, but maybe 1 or 2 students maximum, and we know that we're in this together, and that's how we're going to go. Themes I emphasize throughout middle school are the Trinity, the 2 central mysteries of the Catholic faith, 3 persons in 1 nature, and the Incarnation, 1 person in 2 natures, and that the Incarnation means God became man without change. We always emphasize openness and receptivity to God. It's about receiving. It's not about grasping and going out there and getting something. And that in our class, Christ is the way, the truth, and the life. We also emphasize the sanctity of life. That is personhood, new creation, Mary's womb. And going here, then you tell the students, like, this God who created all creation out of nothing wants to have a relationship with you. And this is the God who loves you. And that Christ died for you, and even though we will not have scars in the new creation, he will wear those scars as trophies over his victory over evil. So what does this have to do with you, or student? That prayer is relationship and union with this God, right? And it's in God's being, and that for, say, a horse to be really fulfilled as a racehorse, they need a human and a jockey, but they're still horses. Yet for a human being to fulfill its nature, it must exceed its nature in Christ. Like, God is outside the universe, and he comes in and helps us fulfill it from the outside inward. So the Incarnation and the Trinity and participation in divine life are the keys here. So that concludes part 1.